So here we go. Welcome to another edition of the recap. I'm joined by good old Bono as I get his 5 takeaways from the Blues' first win of the season at Forest Green Rovers. And before we get into the game, Bono, it's always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. How you doing?
Hey Ross, pleasure to be here. I'm super-tastic. I actually had a lovely day at Shingle Street on the Suffolk coast after a very, very long journey to Gloucestershire yesterday, but it's all good. Nice cold beverage, as I didn't get a chance to have one yesterday because the queues were just mammoth. But there you go. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be talking to you about my 5 takeaways from Forest Green Rovers.
I love it, my friend. Always a natural, always a national and professional talking all things town. Wow, what a unique away day it was, and that is your first takeaway, my friend. Our first ever visit to the new lawn stadium. Forest Green Rovers, of course, newly promoted to League One. A 2-1 win for the Blues. Marcus Harness with his first town goal, and Sam Morsey with an absolute belting strike. We'll get into him later on in the takeaways. But as I said, a unique away day, my friend. How would you look back at your first experience? Vegan food, I know you're a big fan of vegan food, but the day as a whole and going to sunny Gloucestershire.
Absolutely. So what a unique away day it was. I have been to that part of the world before, many, many moons ago when I was a much more thinner and more interesting man, for sure. But yeah, it's just so strange. You go to this absolutely beautiful, picturesque village of less than 10,000 people. It's a fair old way, I think 5 hours door to door pretty much. But yeah, you turn up, you go past all these lovely kind of stone cottages, go up an absolutely whopper of a hill. Thankfully, I was in one of the official supporters coaches, and you park up, and there's a football stadium there. And yeah, obviously I am plant-based myself, have been for a few years now, so I'm very much aligned with Forest Green's kind of ethos and everything else like that. So I'm all about pretty much everything they stand for, actually. But just to go there, the vibe, it was almost like, I'm not being disrespectful to them, it's almost like going to like a non-league ground for a pre-season friendly, isn't it? It reminded me a little bit about Dartford. Kind of, you go there, you can move around, but it's just so nice to go somewhere where an absolutely packed out away terrace, quite weird to have the terrace along the length of the pitch and not behind the goal. But yeah, by the end of the game, after being in the sun for nearly 3 hours, kind of huge queues for everything. But I'm very, very grateful that I got to try the newly launched Q Dog pie, which for the uninitiated is corn, which is, of course, a meat-free food brand, which I don't know whether you know this, but 50 years ago, they discovered a microprotein in a mushroom in the Yorkshire Moors, and they've mass-produced it to be this meat alternative, which is absolutely fantastic. And they've put that in a pie in collaboration with Brewdog, who, of course, will be coming to Ipswich very, very soon. So pie, chips, and a green cola. Green as in there's no nasty stuff and it's good for the environment, not colour green. It's, it is a brown cola drink. Pie, chips, and a cola drink for $8.25 I thought was extremely reasonable. See, the queue put me off a little bit, and when we were in the queue, we actually heard that they'd sold out, and I was with Welsh Mark. We're like, oh no, I don't want to just have chips because chips are good but boring. But as we got towards the front, this lady came in with a tray full of freshly baked Q-Dog pies, and it was worth the wait. Absolutely, absolutely sublime. And I'd love to go there again. Hopefully we can both be promoted, because I don't want a 5th season in League One, Ross. Definitely not. But yeah, I mean, beautiful playing surface, obviously fertilized with the urine of the away fans, allegedly, and mowed by a robotic mower. There was actually somebody on the coach. I heard him talking, and he's a right old Suffolk boy. And he goes, apparently they've got some robot that mows the lawn. And I was like, they do. But yeah, that was absolutely great. There was a bit of a weird kind of camber on the pitch. I don't know whether you noticed it when you were pitch side. It's like the center of the pitch had a bit of a bulge in it, like yeah, just a bulge running from like the penalty spot to the penalty spot. But that didn't affect the football. It was a really, really nice game. Kind of contested by two teams that like to play football, which is a refreshing change in League One. You know, how often do we go places or have teams come to us where, you know, they're not interested in playing football, they're just interested in other stuff. But Forest Green, you know, it's weird. They were talking in the build-up, weren't they? The fact that when we won the UEFA Cup, they won, I think, the Isthmian League, which I think is the same kind of level that Bury Town and you know, Soham Town Rangers and people like that are in. So, you know, their rise is absolutely phenomenal, and more power to them. But yeah, what a unique away day, beautiful setting, great club, great food. Didn't get to try the beer because, again, the queues were a little bit long. But yeah, beautiful weather and really, really good company. We were in, I think, the town fans. That was, I think, the best I've ever heard us sound, really. Some of the singing, and it was all fairly good. You know, beginning of the season, new season vibes, that kind of thing. But yeah, my first takeaway: unique away day, that's for sure.
It was indeed, yeah. Those lines for the beers were as a massive. I was like saluting all the town fans, wanting to wait in that line and get the beer. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed their day. A very unique away day, and a ground to tick off as well. I know there's a lot of people who like to do the 92, and yes, one ground people probably thought they'll never tick off, but they did. Second takeaway in the men, Bono. Midfield pair you're going for. Sam Morsy, Lee Evans. Sam Morsy, of course, the skipper, leading by example, scoring his goal. A lot of town fans didn't have a clue it went in because I think the net and everything, and maybe the view you saw. I had, of course, pit view, you know, sight, so I could see it go in. But they're doing well, aren't they, Lee Evans and Sam Morsy in that midfield? And Sam Morsy is just, yeah, unbelievable.
Absolutely. So what a fantastic midfield pairing. You've got to certainly kind of feel for Dominic Bull. Be interesting to see where he comes into the fold, or the fray rather, as the season goes on. And of course, they didn't really get much of a chance to play together last season, did they? Because injury curtailed Lee Evans' season last year. But I just thought they worked so well together. You know, the way Evans recycled the ball, he'd get the ball from the back three, and Morsy would make a really good run. And just the way that they moved together. We were so close to them, particularly in the second half. Always talking. Morsy, what an absolute leader we have just throughout the game, berating, giving instructions, encouragement where encouragement is needed. But I just think that's the best game those two have played together, and long may it continue, because the way they're going, they've got to be considered the best midfield partnership in the whole division. And I just wonder whether Don Ball he might be an option. Even come into the back three, or possibly be a bit of an anchor man, I don't know, which gives Morsy even more scope to go forward. But even though Morsy does have that kind of box-to-box midfielder quality, which we've seen in the last couple of games, Evans was still getting up there. You know, as a pair, they were moving really, really fluidly together, moving towards the opposition penalty area with absolute ease. They were cutting through that midfield, and they were pretty formidable. We had really, really high possession statistics yesterday. We had loads of shots on goal as well. I know not all of them were on target, but a shot is a shot, and I guess you've got to buy a ticket to get in the lottery. But yeah, what a midfield pairing we have. Sam Morsy and Lee Evans. Long may that continue.
Indeed. And yeah, I do feel sorry for Dominic Ball, because I was impressed by him in pre-season, and he gets injury at the wrong time, the start of the season. We shall see what Kieran McKenna will do when he does come back fully fit. Next takeaway then, your third takeaway is on top goalies. Christian Walton. Again, top form, 2 fantastic saves in this game. And we said this last year, he won us loads of points, but it's so important position, and he's just fantastic for League One.
Absolutely. The Cornish meat shield, as I'm going to call him. There's an old cliche in football. I think it comes from when Schmeichel was in the Man United goal all those years ago, which I'm sure Liam from Crewe, that's one of his teams. I'm sure he'll remember that fondly. But Christian Walton, what an absolute weapon we have in between those sticks. So comfortable coming off his lines and dealing with those high crosses, which I think we'll be seeing quite a lot of this season. You know, as I said earlier, Forest Green keep the ball on the deck, but anything they did put in the air, it wasn't anybody else's. It was Christian Walton, and he was just absolutely fantastic. So assured. And when you think his debut game was the 5-2 home defeat against Bolton, kind of autumn last year, he's just absolutely brilliant. Best goalkeeper in the division. Probably he would be one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody from the Premiership even came in for him, because he's a man at the top of his game. At a prime age as well, but he's already said he's settled in Suffolk. He loves it. He's here for the ride, and I think he's just going to grow with the club as we kind of elevate upwards, hopefully. But Christian Walton, what a goalie!
Indeed. And then we saw the kit again. This, I think it's the second choice goalie kit. It looks beautiful. We saw that in pre-season, but to see it again in the flesh in a league game, it just looks good. And I know you're a kit man as well.
Love a good kit, especially as a former, well, as a one-time goalkeeper myself. Do love a good keeper's kit, and that kind of template that we've got from Umbro. Yeah, that's fire. We just need to know when we can buy it, really. So I do love a grey goalkeeper kit. It reminds me of kind of Walter Zenga at Italia 90. I know it's a little bit before your time, but there's a lot of listeners and a lot of viewers that will kind of appreciate the reference, I'm sure. But yeah, decent goalkeeper kit, and yeah, just what a goalie. I hope he never gets injured. I hope he never gets any suspensions or anything else like that. And I want him to make 500 appearances for Ipswich Town. Indeed,
good old Christian Walton. And well, your fourth takeaway, my friend, and we had this takeaway last week, but it's just continuing this theme, strength off the bench. Of course, the 5 sub rule for this season is going to help us a lot, and we've got a lot of players we can bring off the bench, and we used all 5. We had Vincent Young, Greg Lee, Sonny Aluko, Tyrese John Jules, and Kane Jackson, who came off the bench. But it's once again it helped us for this game, because Forest Green pulled a goal back, and at that point we're like, oh, here we go, could we lose this game? But thankfully that just changed the game for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So strength off the bench is obviously a massive thing, and with the 5 subs rule, initially when I heard about that, we kind of first stumbled across it, didn't we, during the COVID season? And I think a lot of us, speaking on a few people's behalf, probably thought, oh, it's just a temporary thing. It won't be forever. 3 subs, blah, blah, that kind of thing. And when I heard that we began it this season, I wasn't too keen. I thought it would break up play too much. But actually, when you think about it, it suits us down to the ground. Our high press and the way we move the ball, those players do not stop running, particularly in the kind of wing back positions. So you got poor old Wes Burns. He already looks like a knackered donkey. I know he's not a knackered donkey. It's just a euphemism. But to be able to kind of freshen things up in the wide areas as well, and particularly up front, you talked about Shawnee Aluko. And by the way, that name has been verified by the man himself as the first team coach. Pulled up next to the supporters coach yesterday at rugby services on the way home. And whilst everybody else was fanboying and fangirling, getting selfies and autographs and all manner of memorabilia signed, I just approached Shawnee. I said, Shawnee, is it Shawnee or is it Sonny? And he said, it's Shawnee. And I'm like, thanks, mate. Great game. Have a good season. That kind of thing. But yeah, strength off the bench. I mean, it's almost like an embarrassment of riches, really, isn't it? That we've got to be able to bring on people like Caden Jackson with his speed and agility against tiring kind of defensive limbs is fantastic. John Jules as well. You wonder whether he might actually be the perfect foil. I've always kind of said I'm not convinced by the 2 number 10s playing behind a lone striker. And I do wonder if somebody like John Jules or Jackson would actually make a really good strike partner for Ladapo. People just need to be patient with Ladapo. He's coming into quite a different system to what he played last season with a promotion-winning Rotherham team, obviously. But yeah, getting back to the takeaway of strength from the bench, it's just absolutely fantastic. Greg Lee, again, another brilliant performance. My first sighting of him was actually the Southend friendly, and he was just he was just absolute. Of course, he scored that game. Leif Davis, very unlucky to go off. He was growing as the game went in. Again, I think we just have to be patient with him because you ain't £1 million left back if you're rubbish, really. So I think we'll see some very good things. And actually, I've been reading a lot of stories about him over the past 24 hours, killing a bit of time on the way back from Gloucestershire. And he is definitely a hotly tipped player for the future. But yeah, strength from the bench, we got it in abundance. And let's give and these guys, I mean, not Scott. I always call him Scott Chaplin. Connor Chaplin has said it, hasn't he, in some of his interviews, where he knows no matter how well he or some of the other forward players play, he's going to be off after 70 minutes. But the fact that they're signing all these guys that are running towards adversity and know that it's not about them, it's about the team ethos. They're probably, if we're winning and we're on top of the game, they're probably grateful for a rest, aren't they? Get an early bath, it's all good. But strength from the bench.
Okay, then, Bono, your fifth takeaway is game management. And, last season, it felt like Cambridge 2.0 this game. Because last year, a lot of Town fans saying that at half-time we're 2-0 up, cruising and all that sort of stuff. And Forest Green Rovers got a goal back. They had a goal disallowed offside. That's just good to see game management. And as I said, the subs changed the game as well.
Absolutely. So I think this is the kind of much talked about McKenna ball really, really coming into play. Our game management since the Northern Irishman took over at the start of the year, end of last year, really. It's been each game, you can just see the effect that it's having. And yesterday, if we were still under the old regime, if this was last season, we would have thrown away that lead if we would have indeed had the lead in the first place. Let's not forget. But yeah, apart from a kind of bit of a wobbly 5 minutes that we had yesterday against Forest Green, our game management was absolutely sublime. Even heading into those ridiculous 9 minutes of added time, where that came from, I don't know. I don't know whether they're still adding on 30 seconds per substitution. I don't know. And I think there was a kind of a collective gasp when that 9 minutes came on. Of course, weirdly, it's the first time I've ever seen this in a professional football game in the last kind of 20 years. No electronic board. So when there was substitutions, the ref was having to say, "You, number 9, off," kind of, which is a bit strange. But the game management, the way we saw the game out yesterday, the way we kind of capitalized on you couldn't tell that Forest Green were the team that were a goal down heading into the end of the game. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think we've seen before teams managing the game when they're beating us. They'll take the ball into the corner. They'll stop playing. They'll kick it out long. They'll suddenly develop injuries which miraculously get better as soon as 3 or 4 minutes has passed. But we didn't see any of that, and that kind of makes me proud that we've got a football team that will still play football and will still, we were still trying to get that third goal, which would have been great for me because I predicted 3-1. Alas, that did not happen. But yeah, just the game management is just our setup is so professional. Yes, I know we are a professional club, and there's over 100 professional football clubs in the whole country. Let's not forget. But the way we just dealt with it and we countered their threats and kind of used it against them when we're trying to counter-attack them. Yeah, we did see the ball going into the corner a couple of times, but it's not like they were kind of harrying and stuff like that. We just dealt with it really well. And, when that end whistle went, and we didn't actually get the full 9 minutes. Of course, it's a minimum of 9 minutes added on. I had a stopwatch, and I think we only played about 7.5. But hey, who cares? We went all the way to Gloucestershire and we came back with 3 very important points. And, I'll make no bones about it. Last season, had our form been better against those newly promoted sides, we could have made the playoffs. Who knows? But we've already got kind of 3 points, haven't we, against the newly promoted sides. Out of all the games last season, all 8 games against whoever was promoted last year, we only got 4 points. Because we drew 4, won none, and lost 4. And yeah, let's hope we have a bit of a better. I know Andy's talked about it on the main pod, and he wrote a great piece about it. But yes, we need to be beating the teams that we ought to be beating, and I think this year is going to be most sides for sure.
Definitely, my friend. Definitely. It's good that we've got 3 points on the board, or 4 points now because we got the draw against Bolton. But to get a win early doors, of course, last year it took us until September, of course, Lincoln City win. But no, something to build on, Bono. We've got 2 games this week, of course. Colchester United in the League Cup at Portland Road, and then we're back at Portland Road against Milton Keynes. Any other business, my friend? Anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
No, not really. I mean, it was just a fantastic day out. I would love to go there again. I might book a little family holiday and maybe just take in a Forest Green game. Because in all honesty, as much as we all loved it, we loved the vegan food and we loved the little kind of LED boards around the side saying how many plastic bags and how many tons of fossil fuel have been burnt. That was very, very insightful. I don't think we actually want to go back. Really, queues for the beers and stuff, but yeah, I might have to go back and take in a game next year. Who knows? Nice little family holiday to the Cotswolds. Who knows? But no, a fantastic day out. A great first away game for the season, definitely. And let's hope that we have the same luck on our travels for 22-23. Come on, you Blues!
Indeed. Well, thanks for joining me, my friend. I hope everyone has enjoyed watching. Let us know your comments, your thoughts, your takeaways from the Forest Green Rovers game, and bring on this week 2 games at Portland Road. Bring it on.